totally the right answer. But at the end of the day, you need to hear everybody out and agree on me.
I planned for this lesson because I thought it would be a great way to continue the civil rights, civil liberties unit that we were doing. What I wanted to do was find something that they already had some prior knowledge about, and I wanted something that they would have to research and find an actual answer to. With this particular lesson on habeas corpus and Abraham Lincoln's response to it, I did not tell the students really anything about it. If they remembered anything, it would have been from last year in U.S. history, and they had to come to conclusions that I didn't necessarily give to them. Teaching with inquiry has changed my planning because it has to be more about the students and not me in front of them. It's more about the student making sure that they are taking accountability for their own learning. This morning, we're going to continue our unit on civil rights and civil liberties. And we have a problem. This guy. Y'all know who he is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Lincoln. Well, Mr. Lincoln did something that people weren't quite okay with, and we got to decide if that was really okay at the end of the day. Abraham Lincoln, the question at the end of the day that we need to be able to answer is, was Abraham Lincoln justified in suspending habeas corpus during the Civil War? Does anybody remember kind of the basic of habeas corpus? Go ahead, Karen.
In which you were allowed a trial and to know what you were being tried for.
That's a good definition. I think anybody have anything to add on there? I think that's a pretty good definition to it. Basically, it's a legal principle, and it says you are protected from being detained without a court hearing. So we can't throw you into jail and leave you there without telling you why. But here's the problem. Abraham Lincoln is going to decide that that's not, we can't do that right now. Well, look in your little Constitution. Find me in Article 1, Section 9, what it says about habeas corpus. So basically, breaking it down, this is what I heard. Everybody agree with me? That habeas corpus can only be suspended in case of rebellion and or invasion. So that's constitutionally what it says. We agree? Okay. So your job for the next few minutes is to take the purpose of your group. And if you look there in Schoology, I kind of gave you some guiding questions. I kind of gave you an objective to look for your group. So you have about 30 minutes to prove your point using the objective that I did. Does anyone have any questions for me about your next job? I will come around, I will kind of listen in, I might add something to what you have to say, I might guide where you're going, but your group is responsible for coming up with the answer to this. I see the kids taking accountability for their learning. I see the kids enjoying class. I think that's my biggest reward, is they want to come into my classroom every day, they like to participate, and they like to have something to solve. And that's what inquiry is all about, is solving a problem.
The letter Lincoln sends to him talks about how he is doing habeas corpus for the safety of the American people. Yeah, without it, the public safety is the most important to him, it's what he says.
Okay. Yep, that's a good one.
And when he writes it, he even capitalizes safety.
That's why we don't bring up the trials. We bring up how he said Dred Scott wasn't a person.
Dred Scott didn't really do anything. I just tried to get his freedom. They were conspiring at the same time. Conspiring to.
When my students are debating, my brain is thinking 2, 3, 4 questions ahead. I want to make sure that class just continues to keep going. One of my biggest fears is kind of dead spots where the class just stops. Of course, you can't see everything, but if you kind of look and foresee things down the road, it's a lot easier to address if you maybe had an inkling and a solution to it. Transitions in an inquiry classroom is really difficult because you never want to cut off when it's going really well. I've been with these kids for 30 plus days, and I kind of have the feeling of when it's time to move on. What point, where are y'all coming from with your argument to Mr. Lincoln?
We have a constitutional right. He completely ignored our rights. Like, he just didn't care about it.
How do you know that?
How do you know that?
Because we had the Bill of Rights. They were already published, and we have a specific amendment that states that we have a right to can't just be thrown in jail for that specific reason.
So is Mr. Lincoln going to agree with you?
Probably not.
Why not?
Probably not, because he sees it as rebellion.
Okay. What have we seen with rebellion so far?
Go back. That's a great question.
At the end of the day, though, what needs to be the deciding factor? You guys on the Constitution. Because if he's violating the Constitution,
Fundamental right.
so just be prepared to get hit from all sides with that. You have the Chief Justice over there. Now, he's more on your side than you think. But he's arguing with Mr. Lincoln that this is not. You're not sure about that. Congress is kind of a wild side.
Well, I don't know. Like, how did they feel about their laws being taken?
A good question to ask when we
Start
going into it. I actually have a specialist degree in reading rather than another history degree because I felt like ELA and social studies go so well together. The documents, the primary source documents, they have to be able to read them to get to the next part. They have to be able to write to be able to get to the next part. So I just feel like it's a natural integration of ELA into my social studies class. If I was doing this with a general ed setting like my U.S. history classes, I would definitely probably shorten some of the primary sources. I would give them a lot more kind of scaffolding to get them to the right answer. You would have seen me probably sitting with the groups a little bit longer than I actually did. It's about knowing the students and what their strengths are. To me, success is the students that previously did not speak out. They did not really take a role. And when I walk around, even if they don't speak into the group discussion, the fact that they are actively involved in their group, that is huge. I feel like that's a big sign of success, is a student that had normally not participated now is participating and feeling like, hey, I can do this too. In the interest of time, we've got to find out what the legal scholars believe, and then we need to wrap up. So,
is this not saving the Union, or is this pushing more people away? And I'll bring you to the Alien and Sedition Acts. People throwing them out. They were muting their ability to speak in Congress. And that is the same that is going on now, and it's happening on a bigger level. Is this not saving the Union, or is this destroying it? Is this pushing more people away and making more of a divide in our country?
All of this evidence states that what he did was not legal, it was not constitutional, and it wasn't a right to Lincoln in the first place. It was a right to Congress.
It's not the fault of the Union military. Are there going to be people who don't always abide by the rules? Yes. Are there going to be people who are corrupt? Yes. But at the end of the day, us as a whole, it is not. We're just following orders.
According to the evidence presented before the League of Judicial Scholars and the true magnitude of the situation amplified by a time of war and national divide, we have reason to believe Abraham Lincoln was not in violation of the Constitution by suspending habeas corpus, considering it was enacted to salvage the safety of the public and our nation as a whole, only, keyword only, during this time of national crisis. In addition, many believe that this executive order made him a tyrant like King Charles. The difference between Charles and Lincoln is that Charles was an actual dictator and had that power as long as he was ruling.
Well done.
Shifting to inquiry has changed the way I teach because it actually, for me, it's much more fun to have the kids doing the conversation. I can come up with the questions, and I can come up with the questions to keep the conversation going, but it's fun to see the kids come up with their solution. My advice to a new teacher to inquiry is don't give up on it. It will be hard at first. It will be something that you're probably not used to doing. It will feel weird. But once you do it a couple of times and you experience the success, you won't see any other way to do the class, and you will really like it. The biggest thing that I heard from each one of you was you based it constitutional. That was your first line of defense, was the Constitution. And that's where this question comes from. Did he violate the Constitution? Now, the other thing I really enjoyed seeing was you kind of took it personally. You got into the role and you took it personally. Congress was not happy with this decision I saw back there. You would tell me why?
He's saying it was constitutional when literally in the Constitution, you can see that it's violating certain rights.
Okay, I had another follow-up question, but I want to get to the other groups too. Good job with that. My military. Very interesting question I had for you guys is, Veronica, you had a statement up front, but at the end of the day, this whole group realized you're part of the military. And who's your boss? The president. With inquiry-based learning, every student gets to participate. What you didn't see outwardly is there were students that were participating for the first time within the group. They may not have spoken out during the big debate, but as I went around the room, there were students that had normally not said a word that felt like they were empowered to come up with the answers on their own, and they weren't going to be judged harshly for them. And that's the beauty of this, is that everybody gets to participate.